I'm not going to take much longer. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Well, we're here today for our open house that we try to put on for our constituents that are interested in talking about or discussing some of the things we think is relevant, and continue on with our talk about business and economic development and things like that. That's really pertinent, or essential, for the community, that we start thinking more like entrepreneurs and business people as opposed to consumers. There's always that talk about unity and being together, and we need to do this and we need to do that, but you also got to put your money where your mouth is, and you can't be afraid to take the risk that's necessary or that's associated with trying to move forward. Anytime you're trying to move forward, there's a risk involved. It may be a financial risk, it may be personal risk, and it might be, risks that need to be taken, though, because if we sit down and do nothing, like we mentioned Friday, Allah says in the Quran, not equal are those who sit at home and receive no hurt as those who struggle and strive with their goods and their persons, with what Allah has bestowed on them. Some people have a little, some people have a lot, but they have something to offer. I used to always say, I remember when I used to always mention before, you should have some time or you should have some money. You can't say I don't have no time and I ain't got no money. If a person, especially the brothers, if you ain't got no time to work in your community, to work with the imam, to work with the masjid, to work with the efforts that we're trying to move forward with, then that must mean that you're so employed, you're overemployed, and you're working so much that you just don't have the time. You just don't have the time to get in there and get boots on the ground and start working or help out in that grassroots effort or that outward effort to try and get some things done. So if that's the case, then the sadaqah, the box should be full. Okay, brother Imam, I don't have any money. I don't have any time. But here's something that can, I'm gonna contribute to the sadaqah so that you can get some things done, or the master can get some things done, or you can spearhead getting some things done, or you got time. You got to make some time for it. If we don't have any money, then we should have plenty of time. That means that we either unemployed or we're looking for work, and then so we got more time to get involved and do some things. Or you got to have a little bit of both. But you can't say I don't have none. I don't have no time and I don't have no money. That means something's dreadfully wrong. If you don't have no time and then you got no money, then something's dreadfully wrong then, because you got to have something. That's like they say, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You got to have something if you want to be with me. That's that old song. And so we have to start putting our money where our mouth is. We have to start investing in our Masjid. We have to start investing in our community. We have to start investing in each other. We have to start doing some things that's going to help make a difference. And that takes a business effort. You have to really be more business minded when it comes to doing certain things that need to be done. You have to start taking care of business. And so right now, that all this news, the talk in the news is all about, it's about race, it's all about all of this drama that's going on, sexual assaults, race issues, all these things that are so distractionary that by the time you really settle down, the whole day is gone and nothing really gets done in an environment like that. And I mentioned to some brothers, I told them, I said, the focus is wrong. When the focus is wrong, you start to get distracted by just about any and everything. And we should be focused on what we could do together, working in agreement as to what we agree our future should look like, as well as a strategy to bring it into fruition. the Shaitan redirects the focus of the people whose faith is distorted by time and distance from the prophets and the Quran as it comes to life and the life of the prophets when they were alive. I keep saying, we're 1,400 years removed from Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1,400 years ago, none of us are going to see the prophet. We don't know anything about the prophet other than what we've been taught through our tenure as Muslims, either in the Quran, Hadith, Sunan, Sirah, or whatever. And so, that we mentioned Friday where Allah says in the Quran, if Prophet Muhammad is a prophet like all the other prophets, and it says if he died or was slain, would you turn back on your heels? In other words, since you can't see, since you're having no real physical contact with him, if he's not here, what are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to handle things since you really don't have any contact, And so, and people, that's how we are. We don't really have any real contact with that. Everything we have is a matter of faith when it comes to religion, when it comes to everything. But we do have a material reality that we're in and that we're a part of. And once that starts to take shape, then we can start to focus better on some of those things that are more spiritual. But no baby comes here thinking about their spirit. When a baby comes into the world, the baby's looking for physical food. And then as the baby grows up, the baby is looking for material things. Then as the material things, and once they get the material things, then they start looking for the spiritual things. As we get older, we get closer, you get up in age, then you start thinking about, well, hey, man, I'm 60 or I'm 70, you start thinking about, hey, it's about over. So now you might start getting a little bit more spiritual, but that comes with time. Most of us aren't that spiritual initially. We start getting spiritual later, And so we're all trying to make good on that material reality that we're all a part of. We're in the material world, and we need to have some resources, to help us with what we're trying to see the future look like. And that's what I think that's where the focus needs to be sometimes. We want to know, or we want to focus on what we want our future to look like, even in America. Even in America, this is what they call a democracy, and they plan for the future. Somebody's planning for the future, Somebody's planning for their future. Look at all the corporations out there. Look at all the other entities, the businesses. They're all planning for tomorrow. We should be planning for tomorrow, to what we want tomorrow to look like, and we should have a strategy for that. And one of the main strategies in a capitalist society is to have some money, is to have some resources, is to have some of those things that you need to have to build that foundation and to build that infrastructure. We're a part of that. I'm a part of this national organization. It's called THS. I've been trying to, talk more about it, and but it's a national effort to put us back on track where we were years ago. When I mentioned Friday about how we do those. We've got these programs going here, and we don't even have nowhere near the security mindedness that we had back in the 25 years ago. And I mentioned about we had I have to run people away from the masjid. People be drinking and smoking out there, throwing their garbage down. And I ask them, please don't do that. And I get cussed out. I've gotten cussed out more times in the last month than I have in my whole life, I think. I mean, just asking people, because we right here where the liquor stores are, and people come and they walk and they sit right there on the steps and they start drinking right there. And I mean, I came in last Wednesday, and some guy was passed out right on the front of the steps of the masjid. I thought he was dead, and I shook him, tried to wake him up. Then the only reason I realized he wasn't dead, he had a little bit of movement in his abdomen. He was breathing. So I called 911. They came and he had overdosed. They give you, when you overdose, they can put something in you, pop you right back up, bring you right back to life. So all of those things, I said we don't even have the resources to have the right kind of even security around here. We need to secure the facilities better, secure the area better, police the area better. We need those are things, and you can't do that without business. You can't do that without money. You can't do that without resources. It's hard to do it, but you can't keep letting it go like that. Then the next day, Same thing, different guy. He came out, he walked from around, this is in the daytime. He walked out there and walked right in front of somebody's car. A lady swerved around him, and he just fell in the streets. So they picked him up, put him in the front here, right in front of the door there, called 911. So I'm like, what's going on out there now? You know, so I go out, and this guy, he done OD'd on heroin. He's dead, literally dead. They came, brought him, you know, they can bring you back to life from it though. They came in and gave, whatever they do, they called 911, they gave that dude some, gave him that, the pow, you know, he was back. I mean, those are the kind of things that are going on all the time, you know. So now they're going backwards again. So what do we want our future to look like? Do we want it to look like that? I mean, if we don't start getting a handle on things, we don't know what the future is going to look like. You know, I coined that phrase, you know, America and the rise of the freelance Muslim. We can't freelance it. You know, we got to organize. We got to be together better. You know, and we don't want to be together just for a photo op, you know, just to get on television or just to get something in the paper, you know, because that's usually what it is. You know, normally we come together, you know, and we'll do this. We have a united I always say, if I can get 100 people, just 100 people, to do what we're talking about doing for a long enough period of time, we can do more than 1 million people are going to do just coming up there to get on television just to say I was a part of something. It don't make a difference if no matter how many people it is, if you don't have a plan and a strategy for tomorrow, you know, for the future, it don't make a difference how many we are in numbers. They say Al-Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. It's 1 billion of us, over 1 billion of us. I heard somebody say 2 billion. I mean, all of us. Okay, what are we doing? You know, obviously we don't have a group mind. You know, the real group part of our mind is La ilaha illallah. You know, that's, you know, that part. Yeah, we got that. Maybe Muhammad Rasulullah. Maybe we got that. But that's probably the extent of our group mind, is that we at least all believe the same thing. But as far as we're all going in the same direction, doing the same things, building our future the way we're supposed to be, even if it's in our own places that we're at, that's what we should be about. And it just doesn't seem like that. That's the same trick, you know, that was used for people in religion throughout history. Divide and conquer. We're just so fragmented. We're so we're so displaced. You know, it's almost laughable. You know, but we can't keep allowing it to go like that. We can't. I guess what we're saying is we don't want to just be people who are just consumers. We have to start thinking like business people. You know, we have to start thinking like entrepreneurs. We have to start taking care of business. You know, when somebody called us and say, I got some business to take care of, what are we saying? We're saying we got something important to do. That's really what we're saying. This is important. I got something that's more important than what you want to do right now, or I got something that's more important, so I have to take care of that right now. I'm taking care of business. You know, and this Muslim life that we're trying to have, you know, that's an important aspect of the business that we should be doing. You know, it's not going to happen in America. It's not going to happen unless we do it. You know, when I was over in Qatar and in the Middle East, you know, you go to a place, they got a masjid on every corner. They don't have Juma at all of them. They're just there. You can pray. You can stop and pray, you know, anywhere, any time of the day, you know, it's a masjid there. You go to the mall. They have masalas in the mall almost on every floor. I don't know if any of you ever been over there. But in most of the Middle Eastern countries, you can go to the mall. I mean, I was at the mall. I mean, it's a 5-story mall, a big mall, and they got an amusement park in the mall. They got a place where you can take your kids to. They can be in like Chuck E. Cheese. They got places like that throughout the mall, and they got a masala probably on every floor. And when it's prayer time, you can rest assured the masalas is full in the mall. And but in this country, you know, we have to do that. You know, We have to make the masajid. We have to make the prayer areas like we need them to be. We're the ones who have to do all that. The government's not going to do that. You know, they're not going to make sure we got a place to pray. They're not going to do that. We have to be about that. And in this culture, that takes money. You know, as much as I don't want to talk about that, that takes resources. That takes money. And we can't keep just spending our money. We can't just keep giving other people your money, you know, especially when they don't like you in the first place. You know, I mean, the incident that happened at in Starbucks, you know, where they called the police on that guy at the Waffle. I mean, what I'm gonna go there for? If I and you know, then I don't even trust you. I don't even trust you to cook my food. I don't trust you to prepare my food after something like that. I ain't going there. I don't, even if I can't do it. I can't, you know, you can, but I can't trust somebody to fix my food if I don't think they like me in the first place. I mean, I won't do it. I'm almost to the point to where I, you know, stop eating at restaurants. I do it sometime, but a lot of times I just don't do it. You know, I want to get me one of them little handy stoves and keep it in my car. And just cook when I want something. Just cook it myself. You know, keep some instant coffee or whatever I drink. Keep that in my car and just take that with me. And then if I want something to eat or drink, just do that instead of trusting some people who don't like Muslims, who don't like African Americans, who don't like Arabs, or who don't like anything associated with Islam at all. To trust them to fix my food for us. We shouldn't trust them to fix our food for us. You know, what Muslims have, one of the greatest industries in the world, is called halal. You know, when you go make Hajj, you have to pay for the Kabani. You know, when you if you come from here and travel there, they get that money from you. Now, they shouldn't. I mean, we went and checked on the cost of a lamb just the Eid al-Adha that just passed. $300 was the minimum price for a yearling, one lamb. I'm like, man, who can afford that? If you're gonna make that kind of donation, $300, and that he said that the person I talked to said that wasn't for a baby lamb, that was for a yearling. So you can imagine how much maybe a mutton or how much a cow might cost, a whole cow. If you want to buy a whole cow, because they say what 5 can go in on a cow, 7 can go in on a camel, something like that. But so so that costs a lot of money. So just think about all the meat that's halal during Ramadan, during the Hajj in Mecca, and I don't even know what they do with it. I mean, you know, if it's a small number, 1 million people make Hajj. Because every time I go on Hajj, I've been to Hajj twice, and both times they said it was 4 million Muslims there. So I'm like, but just think if it was just 1 million people at Hajj. Well, you know it's going to be quite a few animals slaughtered, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of meat. Where's that meat going? Because, you know, when you go nowadays, you don't see that. If you go from here and make Hajj, you will not see where the Qurbani, you won't see, that's not an aspect of the Hajj that you will be involved in. All you do is giving somebody some money, they're going to take care of that for you. So now I want to do it myself. But, you know, with the amount of people there, they're just not going to let you do it. It's too many people, you know. And so that's an undertaking. I'm like, now, do they do that? Because I'm asking the question, do they do that all in one day? You know, do they do that all in one day? Or how long does it take to kill 1 million animals, you know, or to slaughter 1 million animals, to halal 1 million animals, you know? How long does it take to do that? That's a huge undertaking, you know, just that alone. But anyway, so the halal business, you know, if we were serious about feeding ourselves, because we should be serious about feeding ourselves, we should be serious about educating ourselves, we should be serious about housing ourselves, we should be serious about everything that needed to have the kind of life that we want to have. We should be serious about doing all of that, you know. We should be, you know, even if we should be making our own cars, making our own clothes. We don't make nothing. You know, what do we make? What are we manufacturing? We have to buy everything. We have to give somebody some money for everything we need. We don't grow. We don't have gardens. You know, when we was kids, you know, we had fruit trees in our backyard. My mother had a garden in the backyard. We don't have gardens anymore. We don't grow our own food. We have to go to Kroger's. We have to go to Myers. We have to go to one of these grocery stores and buy our produce, buy our meat, buy everything. Now, so somebody's capitalizing off a business. Somebody's capitalizing off of entrepreneurship. Many of us should be doing the same thing. We should have people that are formidable as business people. Because they're the people who are going to have the monies that need to be donated to the Masjid so that the Masjids can do more of what Masjid should be doing. We shouldn't have to depend on other people. We shouldn't have to depend on American government. We shouldn't have to depend on welfare. We shouldn't have to depend on anything that anyone else is doing. We should be able to depend upon what Allah has blessed us with. And Allah has blessed us with the Quran and the example of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what Prophet Muhammad was before he was the prophet was a businessman. He was a businessman. He was taking care of business. In other words, he was making money. Well, I guess you didn't call it money back in that day. They didn't have it money, but they was doing trade, commerce, all over the place. That's what he was doing before he became the prophet. And business is a very, very important integral process of community, is the business aspect of it. And we have to start teaching our young people about business and going into business. We know everybody's not going to go into business, but a lot of us should be more thinking about going into business than we are right now. We don't want to just end up being consumers. We want to be people who are producing business, creating jobs, etc., and things like that, so we can employ ourselves. I deal with, I was telling them I have a prison ministry, so I'm dealing with 400 or 500 brothers that's incarcerated throughout the state of Ohio. And then when they come out of prison, they're not going to be able to go and get a job like you and I can go get a job. They can't go and get employment like one of us can go get employment that don't have a criminal record. You're not going to be able to do that coming out of prison. And so it ends up creating a situation where they recycle back into the prison system because, they want some money, and some of them are used to getting fast money. Fast money usually means illegal money, right? So a lot of them are used to that. And then when you come out, just like I drove around town yesterday, and I saw so many signs out that said, look, we're hiring. They're everywhere. Trying to find somebody to work now. In this culture, people don't want to work no more. Those millennials, they not, some of them. Don't, I know that's going out there. Some of them millennials and some people, they don't want to work, they don't want to work like we were, like we worked when we were coming up. They don't want to go to work like that, they might work for a few days, for a few weeks, move on to something else, or stop working, and it's hard to find people that want to do work now, especially since they don't want to pay them, that minimum wage is way down there. They're not making a whole lot of money working, so what the heck, why go work when, you're gonna spend all that time, 40 hours a week, and not really come up with nothing, When I graduated from high school in 1975, I was making $17 an hour. Actually, I was making $19 as an equipment operator. I was an apprentice operating engineer. And you could go to Jeep and make $17 an hour. Back in 1975, you can't go to Jeep and start off with $17 an hour today. So the wages are down, but the prices are up. A new car in 1975. What did a new car cost? An average car was about $4,000. Now it's what, $24,000, $25,000 for a car? A car, everything is more expensive, but people aren't making more. Some people are, but most people aren't making more money than they was making. But it's the business people that's making money. Those people that are successful in business, they're making better money, more money. And so we need to be encouraging each other to go into business, to get into business, and pursue commercial interest and things like that. We should be. So anyway, that's basically all I really wanted to elaborate on for today, was this business and economic development mindset that we're trying to push, keep pushing. And like I said, so with the organization that we're a part of called True Human Services, that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is get back to the point to where we're more organized, better organized, and that we're working together and start to think about what we want the future to look like, what we want things to look like in the future, and start cooperating with each other better so we can bring that future into reality. Because if we don't do that, we'll just be kicking the can down the road, and our kids going to be in the same situation we're in, in the future. And we can't allow that to keep going on like that. So, is there anything that anyone would like to add? Yes, sir.
There were dues with the
right. It's $20 a month. $20 a month to be a member of True Human Services.
Have we started collecting already?
Yes. Well, those of us that are part of it. I'm the national business director. I'm that's what my function is, and the objective was really more at security, and I said that real security is economic security, and the basis for to have a real secure future, you have to be economically secure, and that's real Social Security. Back in the 30s, they developed this program called Social Security, and that's when they started giving senior citizens, you retire at 60, 65 years old, and you get a check for the rest of your life, but you got to pay into it, and it's a pro and con to that. It's a good idea, to work, and put some money aside, and then, so that when you get older and you can't work, you got some money. The government took on the role to do that, but it also created a division. It also widened the generation gap. And I'm saying that to say that when I was a kid, my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, we all lived in the same area. We had 4 generations that lived in a cluster. We was really almost next door. We were neighbors, And then, but Social Security also created a situation to where now that you got a little money, you can move out. And then as people became more affluent, they also moved out, And then, we moved out. As we became more affluent and had better jobs, we also started moving to different neighborhoods, and we started moving farther and farther apart. And now, there's a bigger gap between the generations, And in fact, coming up, when I was a kid, we knew everybody on our street. Not only on my street, but the next street over. We knew probably half the people on that street. And then it got maybe a third of the people on the other street. And it kept getting maybe, but we knew everybody on our street. I don't know, on my street I live on right now, I just know my next door neighbor on both sides. That's it. I don't know anybody else in my neighborhood, And so the times have changed like that, It's really changed that we don't have that kind of those kind of connections anymore, and but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get back to where we're better integrated, that we're better together, and that we're doing things that are going to be more conducive to the kind of future we want, especially for the people that's coming behind us. Because if we keep letting things go the way they are, we'll just say, like now, everybody was on the Kavanaugh hearing on. I think that was the biggest thing going on last week and it's probably still going on, is that situation that's going on in Washington with the Supreme Court nomination and all that kind of stuff, And I keep saying, for Muslims, what difference does it make to us, especially us at the grassroots level? It's not that it don't make a difference. The Democrats, they want a liberal majority in the Supreme Court, and the Republicans or the conservatives, they want a conservative majority in there. And they all have an agenda, and they're ready to destroy each other to get their agenda. But what really does it do for common everyday people? And how should Muslims respond to stuff like that? Because we already have, and like I said, Allah is our Supreme Court. Our Supreme Court justice is Allah. And I say, what our Constitution and stuff is the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. We already know what to do about Roe versus Wade, and all those things that they're concerned about what's going to change. You know, they have very little effect on us if we're living by the Quran, if we're living by the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. It doesn't make a difference what decisions they make, you know, for the laws of the land. You know, we don't have to concern ourselves with that, but we do. You know, and we get so wrapped up into that, we forget, hey, we're Muslims. What difference does it make to us what they decide to do with their life? You know, if we decide to, or if we do what we're supposed to do with our life, you know, yeah, we'll be a better example. And they'll say, hey, wow, did you see how those Muslims' lives are? We want to be like that. You know, so we should be setting the example. You know, and that's all it is to it. We don't concern ourselves about what's going on there, because that's all of that's so much drama. And you know, they're probably sneaking and doing something else that we ain't even aware of. My mom used to say, anytime they show you what they're doing, it's about 20 things they're not showing you. You know, if they show you, if they put all that out in front of you, you can rest assured there's a whole bunch of stuff that's behind there that they're doing they ain't letting you know about. You know, and so you get caught up in all of that. I didn't even watch it. Did you watch? Nope. Click. Because the news is depressing. You know, you keep looking at that, you be, oh man, this was. I don't even watch it, that stuff. You know, you know, they got all these new programs on TV. You know, The Center. You know, who want to watch that? I mean, person they write, who want to watch The Center, The Walking Dead? I mean, I don't want to watch that stuff. Fear the Walking, something is like Fear the Walking Dead or something like that. Then they got the other one, what, You Better Call Saul, right? What's that? That's that crooked attorney. Better call, you do something crooked, well, you better call Saul. They got all these programs on TV, you know, and they just wicked stuff, you know, Into the Badlands, you know, all of that, you know, like, what for? I mean, who wants to be inundated with all of that? I mean, all that negative, those things that really, you know, push you into a frame of mind where you start thinking about negative things and corrupt things and bad things and all of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't waste my time with it. They need to turn that television off. But anyway, so is there anything else? Because I could go on and on and on talking about what I'm talking about. You know. No, yes. Going once, going twice.
Actually, we just joined in between. So what was the main topic lecture?
Well, the business and economic development, you know.
Okay.
Just
in the light of
the Muslim community,
of the
yes.
Muslim, right,
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I just, if you allow me, I just
Sure.
want to add a few words. Like since the beginning, we being a Muslim, like you gave an example of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Sahaba Kiram life was very, they didn't have much in their life, right? I'm talking about the materialistic.
Right.
Point of view. But the only thing which really became, which changed their life, it's a revolution for them, they had connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Right.
First of all.
Alhamdulillah.
That is the first thing. Once you connect with your creator, so everything starts to become straight, right?
Right.
Then there is one thing called barakah. Barakat. I don't know what you call it in English.
Blessings.
Blessing. It's close meaning. The blessing means that Allah can do with the means, without the means, and against the means. I mean, even if I don't have much wealth, money, but if I have a strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qudrat and His power, Allah will create a situation which can lead me to success.
No doubt.
And that will fulfill my requirement. And they were very content people. They were not like we go to market, unnecessary buying, marketing thing, We just waste our money. So they had very simple life. In our deen, whatever you earn, spend less than that. That's the first thumb rule. If I make 1,000 a month, for example, I have to live in $900, for example. This is what the training is. And I'm saving $100, right? It's not that I'm going to create. I'm making 1,000 and spending 1,500 a month. And I will never be,
right.
economically.
You'll never be economically well off.
First message, simplicity, honesty, brotherhood. Sahaba Kiram, they had very little to eat, for example. We have heard in our books that one Sahabi had a goat head, what you call, as a gift. He was poor man, he was needy. But he thought that my neighbor is more needy to him. He gave that hadiyah, gifted to next neighbor. And the next neighbor thought that I had something to eat today, let's donate it to my next, This was the kind of society they had. So by the way, it's written in the book, you must have read, after crossing the 7 houses, completing, the same head of the goat, that part of meat, became back to his house. So this is what the sacrifice. It looks like I mean, it's not possible, but this is what it is. And they had full faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and barakat.
Right.
They were doing a'mal, like taqwa. You know, they were pious in their life. So Allah was putting khair in their life. You know. Whatever small money they had, they were doing everything. Now our marriages, for example, I'm planning for my daughter marriages. For example, I can give you my example. My budget is gone way more what I thought. Now I never realized because this is such.
Yeah.
But had it been a like simple marriage,
Right.
like a old times Sahaba Karam, or even not close to that, but little simple,
Right.
I could manage 4 daughters' marriage in that money.
And
Simple food, simple, no big decoration, no big hall, and no big, you know, this and that. So we have to change our lifestyle. That is one thing. And we have to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to bring our life to the life of, close to the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because he is an example. Although we are living in a materialistic life, we some get frustrated, okay. Like you gave an example of the car, that the little earning, you can't buy a new car.
Right.
But like 30 years, it was possible, right? So at least we can start from something to start, right? That I don't go for the new car, but I will try to manage within my own source, and I will have a simple life, right? So Allah will give me barakat, and I should have a pious life. I will avoid from the sins. I will ask, I will make dua from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I will create an environment that Allah gives me barakat in that. I give sadaqah. Even if I have little money, out of that, if I give sadaqah, I have a full trust and belief that Allah gives me more reward in this world and the life hereafter. I mean, these are the basic things we should start.
Well, I think most of us can agree with that, but there are a lot of people out there who are just, you know, they're looking for more material than they are spiritual, and it takes time to get there. You know, like we said, apple didn't turn red in one day, and you know, just like I mentioned to one of the brothers earlier, where you know, some of us are what they call converts in the convert community. You know, they weren't born into an Islamic culture, so they're not used to praying 5 times a day and doing things like we think they should do them, you know, and it's going to take time for them to get there, and they're still looking, you know, they still have a material reality, and really I'm only equating that with just like the baby being born. The baby ain't born, he's not praying at all, is he? I ain't seen one do it yet. You know, they can get into them positions, but normally the baby's only interested in some milk, some physical milk. And then the child, as they develop, you know, children, you know, we encourage them to pray. We make them pray. We have them pray. But they're more involved in play, and they're more involved in material things. You know, that's just the stages of development, you know, from physical to material to spiritual. You know, and then as we get older, then we start making greater spiritual connections and things like that. So everything happens, you know, and I believe it happens in a cycle like that. And that's why we need people like you to help teach, you know, help us teach all those aspects. We need people to teach us on all those levels, you know, and keep it.
One thing, if you allow me, I just want to add one thing. Because human being is created in a way that he will never get satisfied. If I have a car, I will have another SUV. If I have a small house, then I will look for the bigger house. If I have 10,000 on bank balance, I will try to make 20,000. So we should not aim this dunya as my objective. First of all, we have to change the target. My target, my aim is akhirah, the life hereafter, right? So whatever I will have here in this dunya, I will have shukr and contentment in my heart. I will not be worried, and I will not have any kind of feeling that, oh, I'm having miserable life. I don't, because I will say this life is temporary life. Temporary life. I have to leave one day. Everybody has to go. So if your target is not dunya, then you will not have that worries and concern about the dunya, frankly speaking. Sahaba Karam, Rasulullah, what he did, he just changed their heading from dunya to akhirah.
Alhamdulillah.
Look, Jannat is great. That reward is forever. That is the eternal life. This life is very temporary. That is the thing which will make you satisfied. Even if you have a little means, you will be sleeping quietly and you will have this. Allah will give me reward in the life hereafter. So whatever I have, I will make shukr.
Inshallah.
And
So,
believe you me, you must have seen, I am like 57 years old and I have moved to different part of the world. And I have met really people who are really very, very rich people. But you know what's the problem with them? They have such a disease that they cannot eat, they cannot drink. Sometimes they cannot sleep without the pills. These two doctors are with me, they will second me. They cannot sleep with the pills. Even if I have an iman and I have a faith, and Allah has given me health, and I can sleep, I can walk, I can talk, I can eat, and I can make shukr. I'm connected to Masjid. So my heart is satisfied, my soul is satisfied.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
So that is the thing, we should change our target from dunya to akhirah. That Allah, that is the place, eternal life. Jannah is the place.
Right.
All holy prophet and Sahaba, you see how they spend their life. They never ran for the money.
Yeah, Allah says in the Quran to seek by the means He has made available to you the hereafter, the akhirah, but do not neglect your share of the dunya. So we all have a role in the dunya as well. We don't want to be overwhelmed by it. We don't want to succumb to it. We don't want to become capitalistic or a materialist. But at the same time, we want to. If we're in this material reality, we have to make the best of it. And that's what we're speaking to. We know that you have to look for the life after this life because everybody's going to die. I'm pretty sure everybody has so far. I haven't seen anybody make it past the grave yet. So I'm pretty sure everybody's going to the grave. And so beyond that, but while we're here, we're going to make the best of the life that we can while we're on this earth too. And so we Muslims, we have wealthy among us, we have poor among us, and as long as they're poor among us, the wealthy have a role in alleviating that poverty, especially for the Muslims, and until we come together like that to where we see it. And when we start recognizing that all of this belongs to Allah and none of it belongs to any of us, and we start sharing it the way it should be shared, then maybe we can look at things a little differently. But right now we have too many greedy people in the world. When Allah says in the Quran to seek, He says, "Seek by the means He has made available to you the life after this life, but do not neglect your share of the world." Then somebody already neglected their share because they got more than they should have. When you see a person and he's a billionaire, I just read on there that Tesla, they just paid the guy to step down. He's already a billionaire, and they paid him $40 million to step down. You're gonna get fired for. I wish I could get fired for $40 million. Fire me and give me $40 million too. I'm fired. That's all right. You can't beat that, can you? So now when a man got $1 billion already, now what do he need? I can't even fathom the idea of what I need with $1 billion for me. I'm trying to figure out what would I do with $1 billion. I'm sure I'd be living pretty large if I did have $1 billion. I'd be $1 billion you go crazy. The average person with $1 billion will lose their mind. But here we have people in the world with billions of dollars. We got some people that's richer than some countries, nations. One person have more wealth than a whole nation of people. So these are the kind of things that have to be addressed, really. When you start looking at over in Africa, for instance, the most exploited country in the world, China's getting ready to invest in there now. I heard them say we want to stop the Americans from doing what they're doing. So they want to invest in Africa. All the gold, all the diamonds, all the iron ore, all the oil that's under the ground there, the richest continent in the world. Everybody's profited off of it except the people there. So something's wrong. There's something really disproportionate about that. So this material reality that we're living in, somebody's taking advantage of it better than the Muslims are. And so we're only speaking to us getting our share of it correctly. That's all. And we don't want more than our share. We just want the share that we should have. And, the Dutch, the French, the Americans, the English, the Russians, they shouldn't be over there benefiting from what the people should be benefiting from. If you go to Saudi Arabia, for instance, they have all this oil, right? They're rich. I've been there. Qatar, Kuwait, the Emirates, rich countries, oil-rich countries. Well, they say Nigeria has the 5th largest oil reserves in the world. Nigeria. But look at the country. Now, something's wrong with that picture. If I got all this oil under the ground, but my people are looking like, man, there's something wrong with that picture. So we have to start educating ourselves about this material reality as well as that spiritual one. We don't want to just be, I'm going to get my reward in heaven. We're going to get our reward in heaven, but we're going to also get our share of the earth that belongs to us, all of us.
In the right way.
That's in the right way. And this is what we're trying to address. And that, it falls on deaf ears sometimes, but that's what we should be about. And so we'll be getting distracted by all of these other things. We don't want to be, like I said, whatever people in Washington doing, let them do it. Muslims should be doing what Muslims are supposed to do. And where is that? Where is the guidance for that? The guidance for that is chiefly more correctly in the Quran. First, that's where it is. And it comes out, tells you, the Quran doesn't play about that. It comes and tells you what it is as soon as you read it. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he got this Quran over 23 years, they say. And we got it all at once. And it's organized differently than the way he got it. When he got it, he put it together, Allah guided him to put it together differently. That first surah in there, Al-Fatiha, it's already telling you, you got to be open. Your mind has to be open and your heart has to be open. And then it comes right in behind it and it tells you this is the book. There is no doubt in it, and it is Hudan lil Muttaqin, right? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That's all just it. Now, for a smart person like me, I guess I'm pretty smart. If I read that, or the professor, I'm not a professor, he looking at it and say, wow, this says there's no doubt in it. That's the first thing he's going to look for, isn't he?
Correct.
Isn't he? Yeah, he's going to examine it and say, well, it's got to be something wrong with it. Who is this Muhammad, or who is this Allah to come and tell me, that this book has no doubt in it? And as he researches it, he finds out what? There's actually no doubt in it. So it's already telling us about itself. So we have it. We're the Muslims. We're the people who Allah has given that to. And so if we use it correctly, we're gonna succeed. If we don't use it, in other words, if we blow it off and put it just lay it up there on the shelf, we're going to fail. And we'll always be subject to those people who have material dominance over us. And they have had it like that. They've had their way. Their time's run up. We want to take that time flat away from them. Okay, your time is up. You done did all this here. It's over. We're not going to let you do it no more. Y'all hear me? We're not going to let you do that no more. So it has to be addressed too. The physical reality has to be addressed. The material reality has to be addressed, and the spiritual reality has to be. They have to all be addressed equally. We have to take care of all of them. We got to take care of our babies. They're physical. The babies, those children, they physical. They playing football. They running down up and down. They're not thinking about. They ain't thinking about none of the things that us adults are thinking about. And so we got to take care of those. We got to make sure that they can physically do what they need to do. We have to make sure that they can materially do what they need to do materially. And we have to then, when it comes to that spiritual life, they're going to be all ready for it. They'll be ready to go into that to the hereafter with a full complete package. As a full complete package, they'll be ready to go. That's what I'm saying. That's my practical approach at it. Inshallah. So anyway, but we want to focus on some of those things that really need to be focused on as well. So if there's not anything else, I guess that's it for us today, unless anybody got something else to add? No? Yes? Going once? Going twice? Sold. And we're done. May Allah bless us and guide us. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ameen.